All right, this is my city right here in Kenosha.
This poor man got his business caught on fire. They just threw a bottle at this guy. Hey! 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 No! No! Sir! Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay?
He's gonna be okay. He's gonna be okay. You want some more water?
Are you okay? Are you sure?
That's right.
We blowing that thing.
Whoa, that's right, man.
So they can be have something in this world. You just gonna tear up people's communities.
Mostly peaceful protest. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Cooper Stuff. Wow, what an incredibly insane week we had again. I want to start off with some good news because this podcast is going to have some good news in it. I'm going to show you some stuff around the city, stuff that I saw, stuff that I think. We're going to get into it. Of course, it's going to be emotional. Probably going to make some people mad. I don't intend to, but that's the way it's got to be. Let's start with a few of the positive things that we've seen in the last couple of days. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Woo! Now that's one of the good things that happened at the end of the week. I'll share that with you. I honestly don't know where to start. It has been a really weird week. I want to tell you guys what it was like to be here with the violence, and I want to show you around some of the city, to some of the places where some things happened. I want to share with you what it was like to be here with my family, and some of you saw me on the news. I talked about that a little bit. But I think that unfortunately, again, we got to have a raw talk, an emotional talk about where we even start with this, because everybody takes sides so quickly on something. And if you don't jump on it and you don't start screaming about a police shooting or whatever it is, you start getting called names. And as I've said before, as I said with Mr. Floyd when he got shot, sometimes you just don't know what to say. And so I waited for a few days. I don't really know what to say. I don't want to say anything. And whatever you say, you're going to make people mad. And I think that this is really annoying because the other day I tweeted out a picture with you may have seen with a picture of a house that was, it was a building that was boarded up, but it had graffiti on it that said, "Please, kids live upstairs." So basically people live on top of this thing. What they're saying is please don't burn down the building. I have kids living up here. So I tweeted it out. Somebody tweeted me back, a Skillet fan, said, "Hey, John, I like your music, but I'm sorry, but don't you have any sympathy for what these people are protesting for?" And of course I have sympathy for what these people are protesting for, but I don't see the linkage between sympathy for what they want to say and putting innocent kids in danger. Now, for one thing, what if they're black kids? There's a lot of black store owners over there. So I guess what I would like to say to the fan that tweeted me, respectfully, if it was black kids upstairs, would you then not be happy with it? Or can protesters also hurt black kids? But really, in the end, that's just a way of me trying to trick you to say, oh, no, then they'd be bad. So then say, okay, so you think keeping black kids is more important than keeping white kids. Who knows what color they are? Who cares what color they are? It doesn't matter. That's not the point. I don't understand why we've gotten to a place in our society where we say, this is so bad and it needs to be said so much that if it puts innocent people in danger, well, come on, don't you know why they're doing this? This is why I've been hammering for months the ideology about what we're actually fighting about. The philosophy matters, the ideology matters. Now, let me say this before we get into all the other stuff. It doesn't mean that I don't have sympathy. I've said this like 100 times. I'm sure some people are bored, but some people might be watching me for the first time. Just like everybody else in America, I was pissed. I was pissed when I saw the George Floyd video. I don't understand to this day. Most people probably figured out by now, I love police, I love military, I respect police, but I do not understand why that cop had his knee on George Floyd's neck. I'm still angry about that. I do not understand. The problem is that the way that the culture is, if I don't say, I know why he had his foot on his neck, it's only because of the color of his skin. If I don't say that, then I'm a racist. So in other words, to me, the issue, there's a lot of other issues. I don't understand the policing. I don't understand why he would do that. I've seen the leaked body cam footage. I'm sure you've seen since then of all the things going on, but I still don't understand why when you have a suspect that is not a threat, he's got his hands cuffed behind him, he's laying down on his stomach. I don't know why you do that at policing. Racism may have something to do with it. It may not. I just don't know. The problem is that if what they're saying is these people are being killed only because of the color of their skin, that's just not something that I happen to believe. And so therefore, I'm not allowed to really say what I want to say. So I just stay out of it. Now, yes, I'm mad. So what we had happen here in Kenosha, everybody's got to be aware now, is Mr. Blake was shot by the police. The video is horrible. When I saw the video, I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be really, really bad because the video looks so terrible. Once again, I love police, but I don't understand why he had to shoot him in the back 7 times. Now, apparently there was a knife. I don't even want to get into all of that because I'm not here to defend the police by any means. I am telling you that I don't know what it's like to be a policeman. And I am telling you that you've seen another video. I know that Mr. Blake was resisting arrest at times. I think they had tried to tase him twice. I don't understand why it didn't. I don't understand any of those things. But I would like to talk about those things. I don't mean on Cooper stuff. What I mean is I would like people that make decisions to be talking about things. Is that really what we need? Let's say that he was grabbing for a knife. If I was a policeman and he was grabbing for a knife, would I feel the need to shoot him 7 times in the back? I hope not, but I wasn't there. And that's why I really don't want to talk about this stuff. But one of the things I think that brings it up that's really frustrating is, yes, I know why people are mad. And yes, I know why people want police reform. I want police reform. I don't want to defund the police. But there are some things that I would like to see reformed that I don't understand. I do think that we should be talking about that. I want to hear what the protesters say. I say nearly every week, I support the protesters. This is America. You should be able to say whatever you want to say. It is your freedom of speech. I want to know what you want to say. And if you're that angry, we should be telling people. I just hate the violence. That's all that I'm saying about it. Now, some of this is also a little bit based on the way that you see your ideology, the way that you think you should act towards the police. So see, when I was going downtown this week, I'm going to show you some footage. I met a white college professor, and he was talking to me. He was very angry. He was going off on Trump, and he was going off on the police. And he was basically saying to me, he didn't know me, but he said, look, man, that's me, I'm the man. Look, dude, he's like, the police brutality is way over the line. And he was going with me about a lot of stuff. Now, one of the things that people like this say a lot is that white people don't have to tell their kids how to act to the police. Now, I don't know what your story is, but that is not true for me. Now, I will tell you how I view the police. I'm scared to death of the police, all right? I don't give police any issues ever, all right? And that probably stems back. See, there's this thing you hear on the news a lot. Well, white parents don't have to tell their kids to be afraid. White parents don't tell their kids how to act because policemen don't treat them in the same way. I don't know if policemen treat black and white kids the same. I have no idea. There's a lot of footage, disparities out there. There's a lot of things you can read about that. That's not what I'm here to say. What I'm here to say is that when I turned 15 and I started learning to drive, I still have it playing in my head today. What my dad said to me, I got to put on my southern accent. My southern accent to do it. My dad said, John, let me tell you something right now. These police don't think you're cute. They don't think you're funny. They don't want to hear your jokes. They tell you get out of the car, you get out of the car. They tell you to stand up against the car, you spread your legs and stand up against the car. He said, if they tell you to stand on your head and whistle Dixie, you better by God try. They don't want to be your friend. They're here to keep you safe, and they will shoot your ass. That's what my dad said to me, okay? That still rings in my head. When a policeman, I've had run-ins with police. Obviously, I don't have the same stories as my black friends have. I don't have horrible stories. Mine are based on the way that I choose to dress or the way I look, my beard or whatever it is. People can be a little scared of that or think I'm weird or whatever. I've had some run-ins with the police when I thought, that guy's treating me completely unfair. He's holding me here for no reason at all, checking me as if I'm a drug dealer or something because of the way I look. It's completely not fair, but I am still scared to death of these people. I'm going to do what they say. I realize that other people have different stories than that. I'm not saying that they don't. But what this guy said to me that I ran into downtown, he said the reason that people don't respect the police is because they're not worth respecting. That's what he said to me. And I thought this would be a thing worth saying because I just want to maybe just philosophically say, I know what he means. We respect people sometimes based on the fact that they deserve our respect. They have done something to earn it, okay? I would say that with a friendship or somebody that, is a school teacher or somebody like that. You respect them because they've done something that has made you earn it, and now you'll listen to their advice. But there's another kind of authority, and that is somebody that actually demands respect. It doesn't necessarily mean that you respect their character. You respect the authority. And I'm not trying to say this in an authoritative way. I'm trying to say what will be good for you and what is good for me is to respect the authority, whether that authority deserves it or not. So I think that some of it comes at the way that you view the situation. And so that is why you might see a lot of people like me. I'm not a racist. I don't like what is happening. I don't like the video that I just saw of Blake. And I don't like the video that I saw from George Floyd. I'm still angry about it. I don't like what I see happening. But what I do know is that if a policeman, no matter how unjust it was that he pulled me over or yelled at me or thought I did something I didn't do, no matter how unjust it is, I'm scared of that authority. I'm just going to be honest. I'm scared of it. I respect it, and I'm going to do what they say. So some of it comes down to a little bit of that. But I just wanted to start this by saying the fact that you may have seen me on TV saying that I'm very angry about the violence and about the cities burning. Those are some of the reasons why, because you're not allowed to say, hey, I don't like the stuff burning. I saw someone else say, well, what do you expect, John? This is a Christian person. What do you expect, John? If there's no justice, there's not going to be any peace. So what do you expect? As if it's just normal to come in and beat up store owners and set things on fire and things like that. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of my story of how we got here as we play this out. You may have heard me already say this on something else, like the interview I did on Fox and Friends or whatever. I want to make it really, 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 really clear, okay? I believe that there are a lot of really good-hearted, good-faith protesters. I have been saying from the beginning for the 100th time, protesting is your right. And I know people who protested. I have Christian friends who protested. I have non-Christian friends who protested. And I know there's a lot of good faith people, all right? Don't mind that at all. And I do understand why they're doing it. And I also want to say this before we keep going, that I need to say from the beginning that it's kind of weird seeing it happen in your own city, but we don't have it near as bad. This is not Portland. This is not Minneapolis. This is not Ferguson from a few years back. This is not Chicago, New York City. It's not as if I want to make it like I just suffered the very worst thing in the whole world. That is not what I'm saying. The reason this is so pertinent is because I've been talking about these things for a few months, the philosophies behind it, the ideologies. I've been studying, I've been reading, I've been watching, trying to sift through what I think. And if I thought that the media was slanted before this happened, then you better believe I think they're slanted now. I am amazed. I'm shocked at what the media does to say things that are half true, not true at all, to make things sound a certain way. I've been really amazed that there have been some really beautiful things that have happened out of this, like people joining together to work, and then the media will come in and they will twist it and put a headline on it that actually makes it seem diabolical. Like literally will take something that was actually good and awesome and beautiful and restoring, and they will come on and make it sound really evil, and then people get mad at it and start fighting, and it's really horrible. The things that I thought before, if I thought the media was lying to you 10 days ago, I really think they're lying. Not just when I thought they couldn't suck anymore, they just blow my expectations away. Okay, so what I want to do is take you around on a jog around the town so you can see kind of how close we were to the action. Maybe I'll do that now. All right, I'm just on a jog here to see. I live 3 minutes that way, 3-minute jog to here. And this is, here we go, a little justice for you. Finding justice, taking out the cars here. So this is what's going on here. We go over here. They shut down, obviously they shut down these streets right down here. You can't, here, all the way down to there. This is, down here, this is where a lot of the riots happened all the way down there the night because they were trying to bust through. They had this thing gated off. You'll see it. I'll show you when we get down there. Look at that. Really did some work here. All right, guys, if you saw footage the other night of the protest, this is like I say, it's taking about 3.5 minutes to jog here from my house, which is what I'm doing. This is why I'm all red. This is where the protests were happening the other night. If you saw any of the, the tear gas when the cops were pushing people away, they pushed them down through this park over here. Guess we can clean it up going on here. Okay, what's up? I jogged another 4.5 minutes. So this is about, let's just say 7-8 minutes jog from my home here. So this is, my house is that way, 20 streets or whatever. That mattress store you saw online the other night. This is the downtown area here. Burned it down. This is my new friend Wayne.
So this is community. These communities we have here is for the younger generation. They the one got to nurse their children. The family dollars is for the young generation, so they can go get something for the children, so they can keep the kids all in habitat, so they can have something in this world. You just gonna tear up people's communities. If anything, if they have an issue downtown, why don't you just take it out with them? Don't tear it up. That's all we have.
Here you go, check it out. I don't understand how this particular thing happened here, because on the wall over there, you can't really see it, but on the wall, it says minority owned. So I don't really understand how they would let this happen when it's minority owned. Isn't that the whole thing? nobody gives. It's not going to save you, man. It is not going to save you, because that's not what this is about. This is about anarchy, chaos. That's all this is about. Check it out across the street. Here we go. It's like World War II Poland or something. Nope, it's Kenosha. All right, so here's why it got so weird. All right, when this happened, as I told you already, I just didn't want to get involved. I've been talking about race. I've been talking about what the church's response could be to those things, that Jesus is the answer. I've also been talking about the fact that the media is doing everything they can do to keep this going. The media makes money off of this, and the media, they get their own agenda for this. I mean, I don't want to be one of these like stupid people that is so like conspiracy theory that like every little thing happens is something terrible. But I've seen it now with my eyes. The media, they come in and they stir the pot because they want to keep this chaos going for whatever all their different agendas are. All right. And it's pretty ugly stuff. And I've seen it with my own eyes now. So here we are in Kenosha, 4 blocks away. I can see from my road where some of the stores are that are being burned, looted. You saw the windows cracking. You saw the fires. It's kind of freaky. What really was upsetting, I think, for us was when you're in the local area, something that I was unaware that's gone on, but maybe you'll find this interesting, is that local people in Kenosha, we began to get text messages from friends, emails from friends, Facebook messages from friends, sometimes friends of friends of friends from out of state or from out of the city. People saying, hey, this just came up on our social media feed from St. Louis, Minneapolis, Chicago, Madison. This is coming up on our Facebook and feeds. We want to let everybody in Kenosha, if you know somebody in Kenosha, let them know this is what came up. And these Facebook feeds were very much like, we're getting together. We're going to Kenosha tonight to mess stuff up. You know, one of the things you saw quite a lot was we're going to, sorry if it's offensive, F things up. One of the posts said, F Kenosha, F the police, let's go and F S up, all right? S stands for poo-poo. We're going to go mess up. But then some of them began to not just say we're going to F it up, they began to list the subdivisions they were going to, all right? One of the subdivisions, I have somebody that works for me that lives there. One of the other subdivision is where I used to live. I have friends there, my neighbors there. One of my best friends lives in that subdivision. And one of the areas they say they're coming after is my area, okay? I'm 4 blocks down from it anyway, where somebody had gotten shot and killed. This is when things really ratcheted up, because what you began seeing, and I'm really annoyed that the media doesn't cover this, because all that they cover is, well, I'll get to that. Because when you're living in a place, all right, and you start seeing people's social media messages saying they're calling your neighborhood out and saying we're taking it to the neighborhoods to F these places up, that becomes a different story. Simultaneously, our governor was not accepting the federal help from the government that President Trump offered, I assume for political motives. So the fact that we already did not have enough police force here, as we've seen, because they burned down everything. I keep pointing back there. Like this is it. That's me. They burned it down. It's that way. They burned down that stuff. And you're already scared. All right. And a lot, I have friends that live in that neighborhood, by the way, who said that like everybody's tires got slashed in the whatever. People are starting to get a little bit scared. All right. And that might not sound like a big deal. Oh, your tires got slashed. What about when you get up in the morning? You got to go to work. They have single moms there that they have to drop their kid off at a nanny and then go to work, and they can't. Guess who else lives down in these areas? Minority people. I always say that because it's almost like if you say minority, all of a sudden some people go, well, that's not good. As if any of it's good. It sucks that you have to break this up in the terms of if it hurts white people, then get over it. But if it hurts black people, that should count more. I don't know. I don't really like that personally, but whatever. Lots of black people live down there and brown people, all right? And all sorts of people, all sorts of mixed race people. All the people should matter. But anyway, you got to get up and go somewhere. You can't because your tires are slashed. You're scared and you're like, why'd they do this? it's not fun to live through. And when you find out that the governor's not allowing federal help when we already don't have stuff, and you're seeing Facebook posts saying we have 500 vehicles coming in from out of state to F up the place, you know what? It changes you. I'm just going to tell you what it's all about. It doesn't make me hate people. I love people. I pray for the people. What really sucks about it, number one, is that you do have good faith protesters that want to get a message across. Guess what? Nobody listens to them because you're scared to death. All that you hear is the sound of things burning at night and gunshots and fireworks and whatever else, okay? That is what prompted me to finally have to say something about what's going on in Kenosha. I don't want to get involved in another race thing. I've been talking about it for 5 months. So I've lost some friends over it. They get really mad about it because I just don't believe everything the media tells me. I hate racism. I want to make it better. I want to find some police reforms that can make things better. I want things to be more equitable. I want all of those things, but I'm not willing to sacrifice either ideologically or literally, meaning the ideology that says that burning down buildings isn't actually violence. I think that's stupid. Now I've seen it literally, and I really don't buy into it. I think it's a really horrible thing. And the fact that there are so many good people that are like, hey, I don't really like the violence, but sometimes you just got to do stuff to get stuff done. I don't understand that. As I've said in 10 other podcasts, I would understand it more if I believed what the media was telling you. Meaning, if the government actually was hunting down and killing black people because of the color of their skin, then I would understand a little bit more taking up arms against the government, all right? If the government was coming against white dudes with awesome beards, if they were coming after me to kill me because of my beard, I probably would be pretty upset. I just don't believe that's what's happening. That doesn't excuse what the police did to George Floyd, doesn't excuse what the police officer did to Jacob Blake. I'm not saying that by any means, but I don't think that we have the proof that this is what the government is doing. And so now we just start blowing crap up. And if it hurts innocent people, it has to hurt innocent people. I'm not into that, okay? So I wanted you to see how close that was. That is what prompted me to say, hey, I guess I got to defend my family, because they're saying they're going to come to my neighborhood. They've already done some really bad stuff, so why not take them at their word? So it's almost like that night that you've been preparing for that you think is never going to happen. Guess what? It's on you, and you don't want to do it, but you have to stay up all night long and defend your family. So I got to spend a couple of nights in the dark, peering out the window, waiting for people to come by. People came by at probably 12 or 12:15 in the night, and thankfully they were all safe, and I'm very thankful for that. I don't mind them. I mean, I don't like them marching by my house because it makes you nervous, but if all they're doing is marching, okay, but you got to keep an eye on your place. So I want to show you a little bit of video of what that was like. All right, here we go. Outside my house. So there you go. I know that was a really long video. Sorry. I just wanted you to see it, what it was like. So it wasn't the scariest thing in the world. I think what's scary is just not knowing what's going to happen. In the end, the crowds were severely diminished because at that point, that was a couple of days in, the governor had agreed to let federal troops come in. So I think that the crowds were split by 60%, 70%. But it's not wonderful. It's right outside your house, and you don't know what's going to happen, and you don't want anything bad to happen, but it's just a little bit of a crazy time. So let me give you a couple of things I'm really annoyed about with the media. See, what the media started spinning this early on was that there were just protests, and they were fine, They're mostly peaceful, as always, mostly peaceful protests, but then the militia came in and things got really bad. There was like a civilian militia. That is not accurate, all right? Night number one of the protest, yes, there were peaceful protests earlier in the day. And then after the police called for people to disperse and they didn't, breaking the curfew, what happened at that point is the burnings, as you saw the cars. I mean, just full car lots, 30, 40 cars set on fire. I think probably the weirdest thing that I saw, which you may see in the intro, was the church with the Black Lives Matter, sign with the car lot, like just blazing fire right next to it. That, to me, that's like pretty much the parody of the year to me, of the weirdness of the whole thing. All of those things were happening. The violence had already started. And then now to read media reports saying that it was peaceful until militia showed up, that is absolutely not accurate. Look, I wasn't at the protests in the fires, but everybody in Kenosha knows we were all watching it on Facebook Live. People were filming it. They were filming on Instagram Live. We're all watching the same stuff. So that's not really what's happened. Let me give you some good news, but let me tell you one of the things I'm really super PO'd at the media about, and that is this, that there were lots of great efforts that happened in the last few days. Things turned... I'm filming this right now. This is Saturday, and we're praying for a good night tonight and tomorrow. So I don't know what's going to happen, but we're praying for a good night. There have been incredible cleanup efforts, and I'm telling you, I've seen... I was really emotional when I went down yesterday. I had gone down to do some filming, to talk to some people, and we got whatnot. Incredible cleanup efforts. It was quite emotional. There was just dozens and dozens of people all on the blocks cleaning up trash, bringing food down to homeless people, bringing water into people who were cleaning up glass or what happened. There was also a move that happened. I forget the name of the movement. I believe they called it Love is the Answer, which has nothing to do with Skillet, by the way, even though if love is the answer, this is how we rise up. Oh, that's us. Anyway, that's how I remember it. Anyway, there was a movement that started because obviously they go and they put all this plywood up. So if you look at the downtown buildings, it's just a sea of plywood over all the windows. And so one of the movement was that somebody had the idea of, I guess, painting on them, not just like graffiti, but painting on them as a restorative measure, almost like redemption, creating something beautiful out of this terrible thing. Now, I just want to tell you guys now, I'm not Mr. like art. I'm not like super in art. It's not necessarily my thing, but we went down there. There was all kinds of people. I remember I was really emotional because I looked down. Typically, I'm not like the guys like, yeah, let's go, paint flowers on a plywood. That's not my thing, all right? I'm into like, I don't know, metal. So anyway, this particular one, there was a black woman that was painting on one of these pieces of plywood. I assume her daughter or some, I don't know who, but a little, black girl, she was doing like cartwheels right there on the thing. And there was this white woman carrying like a water in. They were cleaning up their trash. They were bringing food to people. And I looked down and the whole scene was like that. I mean, for a small town, it was pretty cool. All right. And you had all kinds of people coming down there. So they started this art project. Well, some people might know that my wife, my daughter, and Jen, my drummer, they were a part of this movement. And some store owners asked, could you paint us something here? Some just gave permission, whatever. Well, there's all sorts of people, all sorts of painting. There's Black Lives Matter painting. There is what Jen and my wife and them did, which was a painting with a scripture. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it, which is so good and what we need. There were all sorts of messages, and it was like a really beautiful thing. Throughout the day, I came down a couple of times. There were people in the neighborhood, some black, some white, some black store owners, some white store owners, that were literally moved to tears. There was an Indian woman that came out when Jen was painting and was looking at it and just started crying because she was moved by it. Store owners, I'm talking about like grown men store owners, moved to tears because it was redemptive. It was something that was so ugly and so violent. All of a sudden, we had hope, and they saw people working together. It was like a really beautiful thing. Well, what do I see in the media? The media comes out and says, white people are painting over Black Lives Matter stuff, graffiti. And I just couldn't believe it to watch it. I just thought, how are they turning this into something really negative when this is something that the people in the community organize themselves, people of all races? And so they say, well, it's mostly all white people down there doing it. Well, it's just so annoying. There's more white people in Kenosha than black people. Anywhere in this city, at any given time, there will be more white people than black people, I'm sure. But it's just the fact that it's also not true. So I don't know. Things like that are really annoying in terms of what the media does. Another thing I saw was there was an amazing, I showed you a clip earlier, and I'm going to get to, I want to talk about it a little bit, but there was an amazing prayer service, a citywide prayer service where people came to worship together. There were, I think, 8 or 9 different pastors that all prayed, like on a microphone. So there was some music. Pastors would come up and pray. I think it was 4 black pastors, 4 white pastors, I think, a mixed race pastor, half black, half white. And of course, there are some outlets saying this was really good, and then some of it said, mostly white people came to pray. This stuff annoys me so bad for so many reasons, because something really good is happening, and the media wants to make it something really bad happening. So they can't even just say, yeah, it's fine, it's not really our thing. It has to be something diabolical, like, oh, white people praying again. Yeah, let their white preachers come, which isn't even true. It was half black preachers. And white people painting, it's really super annoying, especially with all of the black individuals, whether they were homeless people or people from the neighborhood or store owners that were moved to tears by what was happening or were angered by what had happened. So I'm not saying there aren't people that feel differently than me and think, hey, they covered up a Black Lives Matter thing. I don't know if that's even true, but you get my point, I hope. My point is that it is in the media's best interest to make this as chaotic as possible for lots and lots of reasons. And one of those things is because they have an agenda for our country that I believe is extremely diabolical. I don't think that they care 2 squirts about racism. I don't think that is what is happening. Because if that were the case, they would interview some people in the area and say, hey, do you think it's bad that they're painting on these things? And what they would find is that there probably are some people that think that. But you're going to find a lot of people that said, I was moved to tears by watching this. In fact, I even saw this on a video. Who was it? It was a local news. I can't remember what it was. I will try to find it. A local news did play that, which I got to give them props, which I appreciate. But the national media, I'm talking about the cable news media, they want to make money and they're going to make things as dark as they can. So if I could say one thing about the most shining bright moment, I don't think it's not over. But I want to tell you what I loved, and that was the fact that we had a citywide prayer thing. It was an impromptu meeting, but it was done by a local group. They're called the Allies, and they've been meeting together for over a year. And I believe it's 14 pastors. 14 pastors in Kenosha, black, white, brown, whatever, everybody, meeting together for over a year to pray for this country, to pray for our city, to pray for a revival, and yes, to pray for racial tension, to pray for justice, to pray for equality, to pray for everything, pray for our country. Most of all, to pray for unity in Christ, because it is Jesus that is the hope of the earth. Without Jesus, we'll never reach all the policies that will change what's in here. That's your heart. If you're only listening, I'm pointing to my heart. Policies can't change hearts. Jesus changes hearts. It's a work of the Holy Spirit. The Bible says that without the Holy Spirit in your life, you can't actually have that kind of love. It's a love that comes from God, all right? That might be controversial for somebody. I didn't write the Bible. It's what God says. So it is a work that God does. So these 14 pastors have been praying for the city for over a year, and they call it an impromptu prayer service. And I got to be honest with you guys, and you can make fun of me if you want, or you'll appreciate that I'm just being genuine. I found out last minute. I was not in the mood to go. I was busy. I was stressed. I was doing stuff. And I was like, oh, it's a prayer meeting for the city. I should just go. I know that I want to be there even though I'm busy. I hope you don't think I'm a bad person for this. I'm just being real with you. I'm not always the person that I wish I was. You're busy, right? I was busy. I was like, oh, I should do this. I know that my heart wants to pray. I just don't feel like it, but I'm going to do it. I did not expect the Spirit of God to hit so powerfully in Kenosha. Call me faithless because I am. I'm a terrible person. I just was busy. My head was somewhere else. I thought, we'll go pray for the city. That'll be good. The Spirit of God showed up, and we had white singers and black singers and white music and black gospel music, which, just so you know, I'm a lot more on board with black gospel music than I am white worship music. You guys probably know that. I'm from Memphis. I've got some soul in me, and I like black gospel music, and I actually don't really love white people worship music. So there you go. I don't really care, superficial, but that's how I feel about music. And we got to worship God together. And see, it was this really weird feeling in which everybody there had this same feeling like, hey, everybody knows we're on the same side. You know what I mean? It was this feeling of we're all in this together. The world can burn. The world can yell. The world can do this. The police can do this. But we're here, and we are going to pray for Jacob Blake, actually, because he's not dead, which is kind of unreal to me. So we're praying for Jacob Blake. We are praying for his family. We are praying for the other victims. We are praying for business owners who lost their businesses, people that were hurt in some of the violence. And guess what? We're even going to pray for the police, because we all need a work of God if we're going to make this happen. And it was just an amazing reminder to everybody that Jesus Christ is the light of the world. Jesus said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody comes to the Father unless they come through me. Nobody comes to the Father unless they come through me. So what that means for me is this. Look, a politician cannot save Kenosha, cannot save Portland or Minneapolis, where we saw more violence in Minneapolis this week. So our hearts go out. Minneapolis has had it way worse than Kenosha. I've had a taste of it, and I hate it. So we're praying for you, Minneapolis. We had a huge hurricane that hit down in Louisiana. It's a lot going on. A politician can't save us. Policy can't even save us, all right? Protesting can't save us. People like me yelling on YouTube can't save us, all right? Jesus Christ is the hope of the earth. And if we Christians would begin to pray, turn to the Lord and pray, then he will heal our land. So that is kind of the positive message that I want to say that came out of this. Was there are a lot of people that say, hey, you can protest or not, but whatever you do, we are going to pray. Whatever you do out there, fine. We are going to pray. And some of my Christian brothers and sisters are protesting too. As I said from the beginning, I got grace for you. You do what you feel is right between you and the Lord. I have friends that support Black Lives Matter. I have grace for you to go do what you need to do. But all of us Christians need to be praying, and God can do an incredible work. So I hope you enjoyed this bizarre thing of Cooper stuff. I hope it wasn't too long. I hope it was actually interesting to find out all the things going on. I will let you know how it's going. Peace.
People of Kenosha find themselves in the position so many communities have seen in recent weeks, cleaning up after unrest and violence tore their neighborhoods apart. NBC5's Regina Waldrop shows us now how residents are using art and kindness to help heal their city.
In a city in crisis, so many encouraging signs.
Very good job.
All over Kenosha.
I might do another round.
Volunteers are mobilizing.
Right now, I'm just happy sometimes to come out and see some kind of, hope coming out of that.
Working to rebuild and restore this community.
Really makes my heart pound in a good way.
I want to read into your hearing a verse from Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 17. The word of the Lord says, "The Lord your God is in your midst, a mighty one who will save. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you by his love. He will exalt over you with loud singing. If you don't mind, brothers and sisters, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and bow your head.
I worship you.